Maundy Thursday. Maundy Thursday is the Thursday that Jesus invited the disciples to the Passover supper. Luke tells us that he had longed to have the supper with them because he was helping them to get a framework to begin to understand what was going to be happening the next few hours. The arrest of Jesus, the death of Jesus, the anticipation of Easter. And Jesus started all of that, John tells us, by washing the disciples' feet. Have you ever had your feet washed? I know your first instinct is, oh, that's kind of gross. I'm not sure I would do that. Let me tell you a story. Several years ago, John Thomas, our friend in South Africa, was in ill health, and John was struggling. He had been ill for some time, and he got depressed. It happens. His Facebook post and his social media got real dark. And those of us who knew him said, it's not like John. Well, I'm praying for John, and just like I'm talking to you, I hear this. If John were in the States, you'd already be there. That's true. If John was in Florida or New York or California, I'd already hopped a plane and I would have gone to see him. But he was in South Africa. And you know me, I hate to travel. I'm thinking that ocean, that big thing between me and South Africa, that's God's way of saying, Michael, stay home, mind your own business. But I knew there was something up. Diane Mayfield was working for me at the time. I said, Diane, there's no way I could go to South Africa. Is there? She said, you have 4 days right here. Interesting how there was a gap in my schedule. So I called Joey Langford. And I said, I'm coming to South Africa. Don't tell John. I want to sneak up on him and pray for him. So Joey Langford picks me up at the airport. We ride over to John's house. I knock on the door, and John won't let me in. I keep telling him, it's Mike Glenn from Brentwood Baptist Church. He says Mike Glenn told me he would never come, and I had told him that. But there I was, standing on the man's front porch, and he wouldn't let me in. Finally, we talked him into believing that I really was who I said he was. He opens the door, and John is still in his pajamas. He's not, he's still a long way from being well. And I had time to talk with him and encourage him and pray for him. Because you may not know this, but it's rare that a pastor has someone who stops by and says, the only reason I'm here is the Lord sent me to pray for you. And that was the only reason I was there. I didn't have any meetings about our partnership. I didn't have any meetings about missions. I told him, I said, the Lord sent me here just to pray for you. And I washed his feet. I washed his feet because that is the metaphor that Jesus gave us. There was another time I washed. There was one night I taught this passage at Kairos. My son was there, and I washed his feet. My father was there, and I washed his feet. It's an extremely moving ceremony of loving someone enough to take care of their fundamental needs. I'm here to be of service to you, to do nothing else. And here we have Jesus kneeling in front of this ragamuffin bunch that we call the disciples, washing their dirty feet. We don't have any record of a conversation between Jesus and each of the 12. We know what Peter said. Peter said, I really don't want you to wash my feet. We know about the conversation that followed there, but can you imagine if you were Thomas having that kind of conversation with Jesus washing your feet? If you were Andrew, Bartholomew, what would Jesus have said to you the hours before his arrest, the hours before his death, so that you would never, ever forget that moment? Now, of all of the stories that we could tell about Jesus, why are we telling this one? Because this is the one that sums up who Jesus is to his people better than any one of them. Now, sure, I know about the cross. I'm not belittling anything. Here's what I mean. Most of us, when we come to Jesus, when Jesus comes to us, we're tired, we're frustrated, we're angry, we're beat up, we can't fight anymore, and now here Jesus comes and we're thinking, great. Now Jesus is going to show up and tell me how bad I am. The last thing I need is someone reminding me of all my mistakes. And yet Jesus kneels and washes your feet. All the places you have gone, he washes away. All the mistakes, all the dead ends, all the bad roads, he washes off. On this Thursday, as you remember the supper that Jesus shared with his disciples, the arrest, his tears in Gethsemane, remember that the most important thing for Jesus to do that night was to wash his disciples' feet, to wash your feet, so you would know that you're ready to come follow. Now your feet are clean. Now you can walk right behind Jesus. Now that's a lot to think about in 60 seconds, I know. But here you go, 60 seconds. I'll see you tomorrow.